sun peeks through the haze, and birds are chirping, serenading morning's praise. Front porch creaks as dreams fade away. America's awakened to a brand new day. Old vinyl spinning a sweet old tune. Day starts dancing under a sleepy moon. Newsprint smudges on fingers of grace. America's awakened at her own steady pace. Sips of sunshine in a coffee cup. Simple moments lifting spirits up. From the mountains to the sandy shore, morning in America, want just a little more. Neighbors waving with a friendly rise. Kids with backpacks chasing daylight skies. Eyes cooling on a windowsill so fine. America's awakened with a heart full of shine. Old vinyl spinning a sweet old tune. Day starts dancing under a sleepy moon. Newsprint smudges on fingers of grace. America's awakened at her own steady pace. Sips of sunshine in a coffee cup. Simple moments lifting spirits up. From the mountains to the sandy shore, morning in America, wanting just a little more. Neighbors waving with a friendly rise. Kids with backpacks chasing daylight skies. Eyes cooling on a windowsill so fine. America's awakened with a heart full of shine. Neighbors waving with a friendly rise. Kids with backpacks chasing daylight skies. Eyes cooling on a windowsill so fine. America's awakened with a heart full of shine. Tractors rumble, fields coming alive. Big wheels turning where hopes and dreams strive. Laughter echoes down the old dirt road. America's awakened to lighten her load. America's awakened to lighten her load.
Hey, welcome everyone. Hope you all can hear me. I was having a little bit of a problem with my microphone this morning, but I caught it before I went live. So, you guys hear me good? Uh, let's see. Uh, we got Nancy here, Native Pride. Good morning, Tammy, Joan. Good morning, Joan. Jessica. Good morning. Uh, Native. Yeah, uh, Native and Jessica. I love the intro song. I don't like most modern country, to be honest. I like older country. The modern stuff just is it's too produced, it's too formulaic, too commercial. But I do like the opening intro song. I Everyone knows it was done by AI, but I actually wrote a lot of the stuff for it. Uh, I wrote it in one AI, like came up with like I came up with the general lyrics, went to AI, it helped me polish the lyrics, and then I put it into a music AI. Um, I also have it with a female singing, which I do like as well. I just like the man singing a little bit more. Let's see who else. Lady Jen, good morning. Voss, Rick, good morning. Good morning. Good to see you guys. Uh, okay, you guys are hearing me. Jeanette, good morning. If I miss someone, I apologize. Tried to greet y'all. Uh, but yeah, and it's 2 minutes and 57 seconds. And I wanted it to be less than 3 minutes. That is perfect amount of time for me from when I hit the thing for it to come up. Which, by the way, if I can get this, I got my Like Rumble and YouTube gave me a notification this morning. So I'm very happy about that. Because YouTube doesn't always give me the notifications. And I've thought long and hard. I think I'm starting a TikTok. So I think I will be starting a TikTok. Bankruptcy meeting is today on Zoom. Yeah, it'll be interesting what comes out of it. She did a lot of things that I know you. I'm not. I'm not an expert in bankruptcy court. Like, I'm not an expert in normal court, but I do pay attention to normal court, so I normally can understand what's happening. I can generally be like, okay, I can see where this happens or this happens. With bankruptcy court, I am I have very little experience, but I do know not listing all of your creditors is a problem. It's a problem. Um, so I do know that. But what'll happen from it? I don't know. I do not know. I'm just turning down a couple of my things here a little bit. I don't need myself as loud in my ears as what it is. What else is happening in the world? Um, a lot of theft is going to come out, in my opinion. Oh, that and the fact that money has been raised in her name. Hey, Robert. Good morning. The fact that money has been raised in her name, it doesn't matter that she doesn't have access to it. The court will say, well, if it was raised in your name, you need to take steps. And if it was embezzlement or fraud, you need to go report that. Would not be surprised at all. And Jeremy has the proof. He's got the proof of it. Team Hales hired a lawyer dealing in bankruptcy. Yeah, it's such a mistake going after Jeremy because he has the means to defend himself. Not claiming all your assets is also an issue. Yeah, but there were things that and people came to me about the nonprofit and they were like, "Hey, she's claiming this is owned by the nonprofit and that she uses it." You can actually do that. You can do that. It has to be okay with your board, which her board is her, John, and her sister, I believe. Last time I looked at it, and they're going to approve it. But has she done any documentation to show that the board proved it? Not having the documentation is not going to be a big deal. It really isn't. And also with her nonprofit, it's like mine. You pull in so little money that, like, I've had people report my nonprofit. The IRS doesn't care. They don't care. They're going to be like, this is small potatoes. The worst that would, of all these people attacking my nonprofit, worst that would ever happen to me is I would lose my 501c3 status and I just reapply for it. I'm good with the IRS. These people who've attacked my nonprofit are just dummies. They make mountains out of molehills and act like that's a big thing. And I've told people, like, the biggest problem that she has with the nonprofit is the commingling of funds, because that is embezzlement. With me, Veteran Nation Foundation has its own bank account. My businesses have their own bank accounts. I do not commingle funds. Not at all. She doesn't have a nonprofit. From what I saw, it looked like she reapplied. But that doesn't give the fundraising any protection. All the fundraising she was doing about the child, it all goes to embezzlement, which is the major problem. You know, and that's why, like, with a lot of the stuff I do, I keep a lot of it separate. Like Robert, I said, here's what I will do for her. I can't use Veteran Nation funds. Can't use it. He's not a veteran. That is our stated goal, is to help veterans and their families. He's not a veteran. He's not a veteran of a family. But I did say we'll do a Amazon wish list because taxes are still paid on an Amazon wish list, which means that has nothing to do with the 501(c)(3). The government's getting their money. I don't even touch the stuff. So there you go. And that's why I was able to do that. Other people ask me to post their GoFundMes and stuff. I'll do that. There's nothing wrong with me doing that. I will say, when it comes to fans of the show, and some of you guys know this, I I keep my distance. Like, I'll talk with you guys, you'll send me stuff. I will keep my distance. Um, like, that's why I keep saying, go on the cruise with us. Like, if you wanna, like, hang out with me and talk with me, that's the place to do it. That's where I'm opening myself up to everyone. Um, I get a lot of people who message me, and I know it's because they enjoy me on the show and want a real friendship. Um, I do have to protect myself, and that's why I don't do that, with everybody. With Georgie, um, you know, we were it's funny because we've been involved in this story for a while. Me and DJ Radis, we were involved in the story for a while. That's why both come on to this platform. Um, I have to kind of watch what someone's doing for a while before I'll bring them on. And that's just a protection. I got to protect my brand. I got to protect my channel, all those things. There have been times like when I brought in, you know, Deuce, when I brought him on the channel, I took a risk. He could have done stuff to hurt my channel. But, you know, as you guys, especially some of you who know some of the stuff, hey, Mama Coop, good morning. Uh, hey, Fire Dad, good morning. I already said good morning to Tammy. Did I miss anyone else? But yeah, some of you guys who are very involved in like the background stuff with some of these channels, I keep like I don't keep my distance. I just keep up healthy boundaries. And that's why when a lot of this drama spouts off, rarely like there are people who will blame me and say I'm in the thick of it. I'm really not involved. Which I find funny because when drama when it goes off on their end, they're always involved. Always. Georgie's gonna be mad. You know what? I'm gonna message her. She's gonna be mad because she'll be like, "I didn't get a thing." She hates when she misses my live. She like legitimately gets angry. Not at me. Yeah, Georgie has a stalker right now, and it's someone who has been a fan of me, a fan of her, a lot of these shows. And you know, I saw posts that were being made, and I went and I questioned Georgie. I was like, "What's going on with this?" Like, not in a way, like that's why I laugh. Like, I get attacked pretty routinely, as you guys have seen in the fake group. So when I see others getting attacked, I'm smart enough to not jump on the bandwagon and be like, "Oh yeah, that's true." Even when people have done legitimate stuff, I've not, uh, I've not been the person to just start attacking people. Um, because you know, if you're believing the first thing that you hear, maybe it's because I was in the military. The military always has lots of rumor mills. There's always people saying stuff, and you learn. Some people don't learn, but I learned very quickly. Oh, you can get in trouble for spreading rumors and causing discontent. So I'm very protective about that. Like, when someone tells me something, I'll listen to it. Doesn't mean I believe it. Doesn't mean I'm going to act on it or anything like that. Georgie, when she's mad, right? But yeah, you get people who are very much, they want to keep, and you learn that they want to keep everything, they want to keep drama high. And it's a mental health issue. I'm gonna put myself a little bit higher. Yeah, now I got everything moving. There we go. Let me, damn it. Too many things that can pivot and move. Um, yeah, you realize, like I realize a lot of people who are doing stuff, it's like they're doing that because, uh, hey, Coop, good morning. They're doing that because they have a mental issue, and it's not always a severe mental issue, but they're looking for energy. Um, I was talking about mental health the other day, and there's a situation going on where, there's a relationship that's ending, and one of the people feels very dejected and angry, but they're messaging other people. Uh, and you know, family members of their now ex significant other. Me, I've been cheated on, and the last time it happened, I was just like, well, that's over. That literally was my, like, it sucks. Uh, but I was like, I can't control it. It's it is what it is. And I was already in therapy when this happened. In fact, I'd been in therapy for a little while. But I was mature enough to be like, okay, I'm not going to cause that person any drama. Don't need to. I don't need to. Um, there were, like, I found out, I didn't know I was cheated on. I just knew that the woman I was dating, like, just stopped taking my calls, stopped texting me, all this stuff. A year later, I ran into her best friend, and she was like, "Oh, she was telling people you were cheating." And when I found out why, you want to know, some women are investigators, and sometimes to their own detriment. So she thought I was cheating, and you want to know why? It was because I had women's shampoo in my bathroom, and I laughed and I jokingly told my mom, I was like, "Hey, I don't have a girlfriend anymore because of you." And she was like, "Why? Because of me?" I go, "Because she saw that your shampoo was in my shower. She thought I was cheating." My parents visit me normally once a year. And, you know, my mom has, you know, she didn't travel with her stuff, got here and went and bought, okay, yeah, I'm going to buy my shampoo, I'm going to buy my lotions and all this stuff. And I've just kept it here. Like, there's a little basket of all of, like, my mom's stuff, like her, I don't wear contacts, but I got a thing of her contact solution here. My dad has his soap here. Uh, and like, there was that, and when I was living in a place with a pool, and I used to invite people all the time over to my place with my pool, and she had also told her friend that I had a woman's underwear. I didn't have a woman's underwear. It was a bikini because one of the women that I worked with was like, "Hey, you have a nice pool. Can I bring my kids there and just say that I'm a guest of yours?" And I was like, anytime you want, you go right ahead." And the last time she had done it, like, I have my child, she had her kids. The kids wanted to play. They were so, like, her and I sat on the patio talking and whatnot while the kids played. Well, she had left. It wasn't even her full bikini; it was just the bikini top. And I was just like, "Hey, you left this. I'm gonna keep it here. Next time you show up, you can grab it, right?" Uh, and I actually do that with a lot of, even here, I have a lot of different size, bathing suits. I've got my old ones, I've got my son's. I just keep them because, like, I've got my hot tub. So if people came over, I was like, "Oh, hey, yeah, I've got spare bathing suits, spare towels, all that stuff, right?" And yeah, so that's why I have that. And yeah, she thought I was cheating, so she then went and cheated and just ghosted me. And the thing about it is, I was like, "Well, it's done." I didn't. I, I don't want to be with someone who doesn't want to be with me. And if you think I'm cheating and you don't want to, just move on with your life. But there is someone, not someone I'm involved with, but someone that um, uh, is involved with people I'm close to. And yeah, the relationship is breaking down, and they are, that's insecurity. You dodged a bullet. Everybody has insecurity. Everybody does. Um, I can I can forgive stuff like that, but that doesn't mean, and with that girl, she did end up coming back to me because that guy cheated on her. If you go from one relationship cheating into another one, it's not going to be a healthy relationship. And the funny thing is, when she broke off with me and went with this other guy, he had just gotten out of prison, and he was involved in drugs. And it was like a year or two later, she contacted me and was like, "Hey, will you go to dinner with me? I need to talk with you." And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And she was, crying, and because she had found him at a very seedy motel, um, with a man, and he was allowing that man to do stuff to him for drugs. Uh, which is crazy. And she was like, you were always caring, I thought you were cheating. And I explained to her, I go, well, I wasn't. I understand that you thought these things were me cheating. I wish you would have just came to me because I would have said, here's what this is. Um, but you didn't. And she was like, well, you were always a caring person. Can we get back together? And I was like, no, I don't rebuild burn bridges. I can still always be your friend. I can always be nice to you. I can be a shoulder for you to cry on, but we will never be um, in a relationship again. Because that's just the way I am. I don't need. I would much rather be with the right person than be in relationship after relationship with the wrong person. And you know, again, going back to my therapy, that's helped with that. I can joke about going after the crazy ones. And you guys know I've done it plenty of times. ATC, good to see you. You guys know I've done it plenty of times where I said, "Oh yeah, yeah, the crazy ones are the best because they do more." It's just jokes, people. Uh, the skipper, Mike Arthur, is here. The skipper is Mike Arthur, but enhanced. Like I'm making more jokes, so I can joke about stuff, um, and it not be serious. Uh, and I'll joke about stuff like that. Like I was in Coop and Coop and Georgie's stream the other day, and they were talking about me, and they were saying some very nice things, and that makes me uncomfortable. It's hard for me. It's hard for me to hear people say good things about me, and so I was in there making jokes. Like they were like, "Oh, Skipper helps people," but I was making jokes like, "Oh, I'll be if any single moms between the ages of 18 and 30 uh, need any help, I can travel to your town and stay at your place and help." Like I was doing the Big Earn McCracken. You know, I'll be sponsoring a fatherless young man in every town I go to, and of course he's like, putting his arm around the moms. I was doing that joke, and they were ignoring it. Coop gets uncomfortable when I talk about stuff like that, but I was doing stuff like that uh, just for fun. But I'm laughing at, you know, so many people want to create drama. So that's why, and I can recognize it. So that's why I do keep healthy boundaries. I really try to. And I tell people my boundaries, you know? And if someone ignores them after I've told them, I'm done. Like the new boundary is I'm done with you. I don't have to hate you. I don't have to do anything against you. I just I'm done. Um, right, Rick? Uh, I didn't have that. I just maybe it's because I'm a middle child. Middle children are actually really good uh, world leaders. And it's been shown because we negotiate our whole lives. So we get very good at negotiation. We also have a very good understanding of fairness because you know, we're normally not given the attention. We're normally, like we're given hand-me-downs. And in many ways, things are not fair to us growing up. Um, so we that's not actually, there's the whole, Marsha. That happens. But for me, it wasn't my older brother, it was my younger brother. He was the baby and he could do no wrong. Me and my older brother would look at each other like, you see this shit? You see what he's getting away with? What the hell? So we learned to negotiate. And yep, same thing with me, TC. We learned to negotiate. And I think that's where it comes from me. um, Learning to negotiate. And when I see people, we have a very good understanding of fairness. And when I see people getting treated unfairly, I'm more apt to act on those people's behalf. The people, uh, just like BNTC, we do a lot of stuff about government harassment and corruption because the one institution that should not be unfair is our government. Like Lady Justice should be there. So we fight against that stuff. And I think that's where that comes from for me. Like if you had asked my parents growing up, had me and my brothers lined up and said, which one's going to be in the military? I would have been the last one that they picked. I would have been the last one. But I think I was successful in the military because of that. Um, Leaders don't have a good who don't have a good understanding of fairness are going to be bad right off the bat. Um, Everybody screws up. Like leaders can screw up and be unfair, and I've done that. And when people point it out, I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I'll talk it out with them and be like, okay, well, I saw things from this perspective. You're coming from this perspective, and I can see why you would think that. But I think that's why I was successful in the military was because I very much had an understanding of fairness, and that's also why when I had PTSD, why I was getting so angry at stuff. It was not a good time for the military. Those final Obama years were bad in the military. And I do blame Obama because I saw firsthand how his lack of leadership had very big consequences for people further down far down the chain. When I was in the UAE, his just lack of a policy or a vision for the Middle East, it made things incredibly difficult. When other people were looking to the US for leadership, and what are you guys going to do? And we were like, we don't even know. They won't tell us. We've asked the question. Like, what do you want us to do when this happens? And they had no answer. That's why I support Trump. Like, you can say that Trump is a bad person. You can say that he's an asshole. I will agree with you. He's a good leader. And I've known a million guys in the military just like Trump. He's an asshole. But assholes normally are definitive, they normally are decisive. I see that all out of Trump. That's like a lot of very successful business guys are assholes for the exact same reasons. Um, so yeah, like so when people are like, "Oh, Trump did this, Trump did that," I'm like, I laugh about it. I'm like, well, yeah, you're gonna get that with a guy like him. That's just the way it is. And if there are fans who like when Coop plays his Donald Trump thing, they get very angry about it. It's like, dude, you're gonna have to get past that. Like, he's a world leader. He's gonna be around. You might not like him, but you're gonna have to get. Obama had a clear policy and vision for the Middle East. It was just not good for the military. No, no, he didn't. And I'll tell you why. So this is not classified. Back then it was, like national security stuff. But the Yemen civil war kicked off while I was in the UAE and I was working at the embassy. And we were talking to our counterparts both in Yemen and in the Saudi Arabia. Now, in Saudi Arabia, the UAE and Saudi Arabia were kind of guiding the bombing campaign. They took the lead. And it was a simple question. A series of questions. When is the US going to pull its personnel out of the embassy? Because when you guys do it, we're going to do it, is what they were telling us. What are the conditions, or do you have a timeline? We just, just give us some signals, right? Because we want to be in lockstep with you guys. And we were asking, okay, when are we going to pull out? And no one had an answer. We talked to the ambassador. We like, and we talked to CENTCOM. Like, those are basic military things. Like, you have to have a plan in place, and that's 13 Hours, awesome yet sad movie. It wasn't exactly that, but it was similar. But yeah, like it was just like, is this going to be a condition based pullout, or is it going to be a time based pullout? Like what does this look like? And even the Marines we were talking to in Yemen, they were like, we have no clue. Those guys were like being left hung out to dry. That's what that was. I mean, it's one thing. Hey, when on this date at this time we're going to pull out. Great. Okay, got it. Or when they do this, that's when we're going to pull out. Or that's when we're going to start doing. Okay, at least then there's a plan. Um, Obama did not have a plan. And when you actually, now here's what I can't get into details about. When we actually did pull people out of our embassy, it was a freaking nut roll. And for that same reason. For that same reason. Um, and that's why you saw that with Trump with Afghanistan. He was like, "No, I'm not going to leave until these conditions are met." And then Biden got in. Nope, we're just leaving. Well, a policy of destabilization and regime change. Yes, you are correct, but that has nothing to do with our um, when we're going to close our embassy or not. Like, you have to realize there are Americans who live there. Like, them pulling out is a big freaking deal. That's the reason why, very famous scene of the uh the CH-53s leaving Vietnam and people hanging on to onto the bottom of it. That's why the people hanging on to the C-130s in Afghanistan. That comes by a pullout. Like, and if you're not planning for that, if you don't have a plan for that, like, people can get seriously hurt or killed. Um, I know I'm correct. Well, I would disagree with you as it applies to an embassy. Like, you need a plan for that. Like, and especially the way the embassies are built. I can't talk too much about that, I don't think, but I can tell you they're built for a safe pullout. I'll say that much. Yeah, he didn't have a clear policy. He didn't. Um, that's why we got involved in Syria the way we did. There were foreign advisors in Jordan training people, and that's where people are like, "Oh, he was training ISIS." Some of those people did defect to ISIS, But when they were in Jordan, they weren't. However, we didn't know their proclivities when we were training them in Jordan. And I was on those VTCs. Like I was hearing the people in Jordan who were doing the training, hearing them and watching them on the video screen. Um, but again, yeah, we were training people, but we didn't even know were we training them to protect people? Were we training them to overthrow the regime? Were we training them to uh, set up secure an area that would break away? What were we training them for? Um, I mean, you're talking the overarching stuff, but specifically, like, are we doing any specific missions? And I didn't see that. We were just training people to fight, and that's a bad policy. That's a very bad policy. Because if you're just training people to fight and you're not saying, okay, yeah, we're going to develop these relationships with this goal in mind, it ends up bad. I the emails were bad. She should have been prosecuted for just removing the one where she said remove the classified marking. That is a crime. 100% that's a crime. Her and Huma Abedin should have been uh, prosecuted for that. That was not her authority. He was always clear about regime change, not handling staff clearly isn't the same as not. Okay, well, what was the goal in Syria? Because it wasn't regime change. We didn't, no one that we um, trained overthrew, um, what's his name, Bashir. Like no one that we trained did that. They're there, they're operating. The he was overthrown by Hezbollah backed fighters. So, but yeah, but that's how an ineffectual leader operates. Trump, strong leader, shit person. Like he's got a lot of shitty stuff in his life. Um, I think he's got regrets and has tried to be a better person. But he's still an asshole at the end of the day. But I think you have to be that. Um, what's the word with Putin lately? I mean, he's in a war. It that war actually tied his hands. They can't do a whole lot of stuff because they're in a war. That's why Pakistan can't buy Russian stuff. Iran, Iran. That's why Israel, started everything with Iran because once Iran used its missiles and used its stuff up, they were like, okay, now's the time for us to go and bomb, and we decimated us and Israel decimated Iran's military, and Iran can only buy stuff from China, which we know is completely and totally ineffective. Like there is nothing they can really buy from Russia. Russia's in a war. So that was Israel, and you can say Israel or dicks for doing it. Okay, fine. But that was Israel taking advantage of a uh, a strategic goal. And we begrudgingly did partake. I'm perfectly fine with us doing air campaigns. Um, like they're very easy for us. I don't think I don't think air campaigns ever get us our goals on the ground. Yeah, and you saw it didn't do it really any like people aren't rising up against Iran, but I think it has significantly reduced Iran's military. I don't think they're not able to support Hamas anymore. They're not supporting Hezbollah. So I think Israel doing what they did was a good strategy for Israel in the area. Um, I think we will get some benefits out of that. I have been ice fishing. I will never go ice fishing on the Great Lakes again, though. That was crazy. Um, but yeah, I think it was a good strategy move for Israel. Now their most active enemies are without major military support, and that is 100% true. I think by them doing that, we're going to see more peace deals with Israel in the next 5 years. I think they will normalize relations with the UAE and Bahrain. I think they will uh, start discussions with Saudi Arabia. I don't know if they will actually normalize relations with Saudi Arabia, like have a diplomatic relationship and a peace deal. We're getting on the path to it, but Saudi Arabia has a lot of problems with the imams within its own country that are going to try to prevent. And if there's one thing that um, the Saudi royal family, while they are in power, they don't have the power. The imams have the power in Saudi Arabia, and it's a very precarious balance. So they're not gonna. I don't see them signing a peace deal with Israel because the imams don't want it. Uh, it would be like if the Westboro Baptist Church had the political power in Kansas. Uh, The rest of the people in Kansas wouldn't be able to do much with a fundamentalist group like that running things. Um, but I think there's already a peace treaty with Jordan. I think you're going to see Lebanon start to stabilize. Um, and yeah, I think UAE, Bahrain, Qatar. I don't know if Qatar will sign a peace deal. They kind of like being the shit stir. Maybe Oman, but UAE and Bahrain, they like good business. I can see them within 5 years signing a peace deal with Israel. Do you think we'll ever see the $600 rebate check I heard about? No, that was never anyone in the administration pushing that. Like that was never anything formalized. It was just talk. Um, and we shouldn't be asking our government for handouts. I would much rather see tax um, yeah, I'd much rather see taxes reduced. That affects my life way better. Like gas tax, I think the federal government should step in about these gas taxes because I'm here in California and it's insane. I'm paying I think I paid $4.20 for gas the other day, and they keep raising it. They keep raising it because California has a $12 trillion deficit. Or no, billion, 12 billion. But they can't run the state mismanages its money, it mismanages its natural resources. No, it was about regime change. They just didn't have a plan for that regime change. I want to see the government abolish the VA, right? What if okay, Wesley Clark is an idiot. I'll straight up say that. Wesley Clark is an idiot. I he almost started World War III in Serbia. Like British General Pete Jackson, told what General Wesley Clark, "I've spent my military career preventing World War III, and I'm not going to start it today for you." Ohio is 60% gas tax. Yeah, it's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. Um, Now, if you didn't have an income tax and you're like, "Hey, we're going to do a sales tax and a gas tax," fine. Get rid of the income tax. But that's not what they do. Not what they do at all. I didn't say Clark was a genius. Well, a general who doesn't realize they're gonna start a nuclear war. Because he wanted us in Serbia. There was a base, an abandoned base, an air base, and the Russians kept saying, "Are you going to take this? Are you going to take this?" And we didn't take it, and we never gave them an answer. Again, leadership not coming up with a plan and saying, "Okay, these are the conditions. We'll take it, or we'll take it at this date," like, and not communicating that. And finally, the Russians said, "Okay, well, if you don't want it, we're going to take over this airbase." And they went in and they started they started setting it up. And Wesley Clark told Pete Jackson, "Bomb it." Like, why would you attack the Russians who were not our enemies in Serbia? Like, they were literally uh, a a peacekeeping force. And they were like, "Okay, we'll start using this airfield since you guys don't want it." And had we said, "Hey, we know you guys took it, we want it," they probably would have handed it off to us. But that was his instinct. Well, yeah, I could have listed those 7 countries. Like, I could tell you the 7 countries today that the US would love regime change on. I could tell you that today. Doesn't mean we should do it. Doesn't mean, there aren't politicians out there who aren't gonna try. There's a push in Ohio to get rid of the property tax. I think property taxes should be while while your home is mortgaged, you should pay property taxes because it incentivizes people to pay off their mortgage. But also, I think if you're a corporation who owns land, yeah, you should be paying property taxes. Like, no exemption. That exemption should only be for like, I'm looking at retirees should not be paying on their property. And if you want to make it an age exception, I'm good with that too. Hey, you got to be over the age of 50 or 55 and no more paying okay, that's fine. Most Americans put their savings into their home, and that would be helping them build their savings in the twilight of their years and keep their savings. Absolutely. I got no problem with that. Are there people who are going to use it and do loopholes? Absolutely there are. Will it will make them landlords? Yes, it will. But they're also not going to live for forever. Oh yeah, you're very true in that, uh, TC. Um, we didn't have to be involved in Iran. I get why we did. I'm I don't like it. Um, yeah, I don't like it, but I do get like why we did get involved. But okay, we're in a much better and much safer position today. The world is a safer place today because of what Israel and the US, their bombing campaign in Iran. That's without a doubt. Right? Yeah, they're taxing us for road construction, but our roads here are worse than ever. Yeah, because they're doing all these. They just announced, oh, hey, you don't have to pay for an $80 Uber to the LAX. They opened up the new metro. Oh, so I get to take the LA Metro to LAX and get stabbed and my bags taken from me. Great. Like, yeah, California mismanages everything. If you want to see how to run a state, do not look at California. Everyone is still leaving California, even though they're not leaving. They're leaving California. People are still leaving California without a doubt. And I'm not talking about the deportations. I am looking at the time. I have to get going. I thank you guys all for being here. I think this was a good show. I think we talked about a good mix of different stuff. Um, I'm around if you guys need me. I will be watching. I will be watching Georgie and Coop at 8 o'clock. Um, I don't know. I should be on tomorrow. I just don't. If I'm not here tomorrow, I do have some videos in the can that I'll post. Just haven't done it yet. So just FYI, that's out there. All right, folks, I'm gonna get going. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for all your questions, comments. Please like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, uh, and keep the conversation going. And as always, thank you for being worth serving.
Coffee brewing as the sun peeks through the haze. Birds are chirping, serenading morning's praise. Front porch creaks as dreams fade away. America's awakened to a brand new day. Old vinyl spinning a sweet old tune. Day starts dancing under a sleepy moon. Newsprint smudges on fingers of grace. America's awakening at her own steady pace. Sips of sunshine in a coffee cup. Simple moments lifting spirits up. From the mountains to the sandy shore. Morning in America, want just a little more. Neighbors waving with a friendly rise. Kids with backpacks chasing daylight skies. Eyes cooling on a windowsill so fine. America's awakened with a heart full of shine. Old vinyl spinning a sweet old tune. Day starts dancing under a sleepy moon. Newsprint smudges on fingers of grace. America's awakened at her own steady pace. Sips of sunshine in a coffee cup. Simple moments lifting spirits up. From the mountains to the sandy shore. Morning in America, wanting just a little more. Neighbors waving with a friendly rise. Kids with backpacks chasing daylight skies. Eyes cooling on a windowsill so fine. America's awakened with a heart full of shine. Neighbors waving with a friendly rise. Kids with backpacks chasing daylight skies. Eyes cooling on a windowsill so fine. America's awakened with a heart full of shine. Tractors rumble, fields coming alive. Big wheels turning where hopes and dreams strive. Laughter echoes down the old dirt road. America's awakened to lighten her load. America's awakened to lighten her load.